but you're not excited about that. I'm not someone who says chase the money. Don't chase the money, right? I love numbers. If you hang around my house, I do puzzles and I talk about numbers all the time. I talk about numbers with my wife and she literally rolls her eyes at me and is like, I don't feel like talking about that right now. But I'm in the field that works for me. I love talking about numbers. I'm a financial planner. I get to talk to people about numbers all the time. And a lot of people don't like talking about their numbers. But when they meet me, they're like, all right, I feel a little bit better because I can show you a plan that will get you the results that you want. And it may take slightly longer than you wanted, but I can get you the result that you want, which is really all that we're really asking for. If you really think about it, it's not that we don't want to put the work in. We just don't know if we're going to get the result that we're trying to get if we put the work in. Now, if you saw the first part of the video, we went over the numbers of exactly what gives you the highest percentage chance of becoming a millionaire, what they have in common, what you can do, the things that you can control, and I felt really good about that. Now, I talk about that in my other video where I talk about the 7 unconventional mindset shifts of generational wealth, and the one of them I talk about, and it's from the Bible, it talks about the fear of the Lord. And when we talk about fear of the Lord, everybody's like, well, what does that mean? Like respecting God, being scared of God? It's really the idea of acknowledging that there is a system in place that will get you the exact results that you want if you respect that system, right? The idea is that God created a universe. It's beautifully mathematically designed. If you've ever seen NASA, when they shoot a rocket into space, they can literally tell you to the 10th of a second when it's going to land on the space station. When the rocket comes back, everybody, I watched the SpaceX when one of them were landing. There was a whole bunch of boats around this body of water because they knew that the rocket was going to land right in the water. And it did. It landed right next to them. And then they went and picked out the astronauts. That's how mathematically sound our universe is. And as someone who watches sports, you'll often hear them say that is a high percentage play. That is a high percentage shot. And what that means is if you take that shot 10 times, you're going to make it 6 of those times because it's a high percentage shot. And a low percentage shot or a low percentage play means that you may get lucky every so often, but if you make a habit out of doing this, you will lose in the long run. Most people are taking low percentage shots because they believe that they're going to be the exception. And I find that is not fear of the Lord. That is not respecting the mathematically sound design of our universe. That if you want to escape the rat race and increase the likelihood of you becoming a millionaire, you cannot do what 90% of the population is doing that is not going to become a millionaire. There is something different that the 10% is doing, and that's what you have to do. The good news is you have one of those checked off just by being born in the right place in the right time. So I'll tell you the 5 countries that have the most millionaires. The United States, by a landslide, has about 22 million millionaires. We went over that at the beginning of the last video. But do you know how many millionaires the next closest country has? Which is China. How many millionaires do you think are in China? There are 5.3 million millionaires in China, followed by Japan with 3.6 million, followed by Germany with 2.9 million, and then the UK with 2.5 million millionaires. So take a moment and look at that. I'm telling you that if you total the millionaires in the United Kingdom, Germany, Japan, and China, you would not have the number of millionaires equal to the ones in the United States. That simply shows you that just by being in the United States, you've already increased the likelihood of you becoming a millionaire. You've already given yourself a great advantage. Now, if you're curious, France is at 2.47. They're slightly right behind UK. And so even if you counted France, you still wouldn't have enough millionaires that surpass the number in the United States, which means you have an amazing opportunity to become a millionaire if you live in one of these countries, let alone the United States. Now, if you're curious what that number looks like globally, there are 56.1 millionaires. That is about a 5 million millionaire increase from 2019, right? Try to say that one fast. There's 5 million more millionaires in 2020 from 2019 where this data is being pulled from. And these global millionaires control almost half of the world's wealth at 46 million. That's about $191 trillion that they have collectively. Now, if you're looking for trends and projections, right, the idea of forecasting what this looks like, is the opportunity missed? Are we able to figure out a way to create a millionaire status? What do these numbers tell us? And then we'll have the summary. So in 2020, the U.S. added about 1.7 million new millionaires. And this is about a third of the total number of people who became a millionaire in 2020. From 2016 to 2020, it was estimated that an average of 1,700 people would become millionaires every single day. Isn't that crazy? Every single day. So what did they do? Now, if you're saying I'm going to become a millionaire tomorrow, I would say the numbers don't pan that out. But if you're saying I'm going to put a plan in place so that I will become a millionaire in 5, 10, 15 years, I can say that we can put a plan in place to help you achieve that goal. 79% of surveyed millionaires said that they didn't receive it as an inheritance, which means they're self-made millionaires. And I have another video where I talk about the 7 streams of income that self-made millionaires have according to the IRS. And if you have 3 of those streams, there's a 65% chance you'll become a millionaire. And again, I'm big on finding the numbers that tilt the odds in my favor. There's no reason for me to put myself in a low probability of success when I can give myself all the best chances in the world. And if you're wondering about generational wealth starting with them, 80% of those surveyed millionaires said they grew up in families that were at or below middle income levels, and just 2% grew up in high income families. So this may be speaking on the generational wealth curse a little bit, where you guys know about 90% of generational wealth is lost by the 3rd generation because the families did not put the systems in place to ensure that their kids weren't spoiled trust fund babies who blew all the money, but they actually were able to teach them the value of a dollar, how to make money, how to serve others, and what they need to do. And so you can see that the $1 million is not about having an inheritance of past generational wealth, which is great. It's really about who you have to become to achieve that result. If you focus on who you have to become and you teach that nugget to your children, it's the difference between giving someone fish and teaching them how to fish. It's very important if you want to have generational wealth that you teach your children how to fish. There's not enough money in the world to give them that they can't waste it. I mean, you guys know your kids. I know my kids. There is not enough money in the world that can save them from themselves if I don't teach them the strategies that they need so that they can become successful. And so the global number of millionaires is expected to climb up to 84 million by 2025, which will be pretty cool. Right, we just said that there's 56 global millionaires, and we're saying that in another 2 years that we will be at 86 million millionaires, which I think is fantastic. And so I would say, why not put a plan in place so that we can be amongst them as we continue moving towards that? And the number of ultra high net worth individuals, those with at least $30 million, is expected to grow by about 60% during that same time frame. Again, you guys already know the only way to get that number is to get your $1 million earlier, so that way you can compound it and have tens or hundreds of $1 million later. There is not a point in time that you say, all right, I reached the mountaintop, I'm done, I'm out. You have to be consistent in your discipline. You have to pass that consistent discipline and process on to your children so that they can be consistent in their discipline. You don't want to take your foot off the gas. Yes, enjoy life. Why not? Your money is no longer tied to your time. So that means you can do whatever you want with your time and you'll still make money. If you guys don't know, my goal is to make more money in my sleep than my wife can spend while she's awake, and she is up to the task. And so I have been putting the plans in place and taking the actions and been consistent and disciplined in my process, and I'm seeing some of the results of that work. From 2000 to 2020, the aggregate wealth of millionaires across the world nearly quadrupled, a 400% increase. Mind you, this is including 9/11. Mind you, this is also including the Great Recession, and yet their wealth has quadrupled, a 400% increase over 20 years by following the process. In 2000, this group was worth about $41 trillion, and in 2020, they're at $191 trillion collectively. At the same time, the millionaire's share of the world's wealth increased from 35% to 46%, as we just mentioned. So in conclusion, when you're looking at the numbers and you're like, what can I do to increase the likelihood of me becoming a millionaire? And I would say that's a fantastic question. If you want to take a consistent approach of investing 5 to 20% of your salary every single month in some investments that will get you a return where your money is working and you're not working, you will achieve the results that you were looking for if you just look at the historical numbers. If you're interested in increasing the amount of money that you can put in your investments so that you achieve the millionaire status earlier, which we then know will give you the ability to have tens or hundreds of $1 million later, then I would say that you want to focus on having a career in one of those 5 industries, and all of the industries require you to have a bachelor's degree, the strong correlation that we mentioned. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, you have a bachelor's degree in a different field, but you're not excited about that. I'm not someone who says chase the money. Don't chase the money, right? I love numbers. If you hang around my house, I do puzzles and I talk about numbers all the time. I talk about numbers with my wife and she literally rolls her eyes at me and is like, I don't feel like talking about that right now. But I'm in the field that works for me. I love talking about numbers. I'm a financial planner. I get to talk to people about numbers all the time. And a lot of people don't like talking about their numbers. But when they meet me, they're like, all right, I feel a little bit better because I can show you a plan that will get you the results that you want. And it may take slightly longer than you wanted, but I can get you the result that you want, which is really all that we're really asking for. If you really think about it, it's not that we don't want to put the work in. We just don't know if we're going to get the result that we're trying to get if we put the work in. Whereas the idea of being in sales where they'll say, hey, if you knock on 100 doors, 10 of them will become appointments, 3 of them you'll have like as a client. Well, for a lot of people, if you believe that, then you'll knock on 100 doors because you're going to have 3 clients every time you knock on 100 doors, which means you'll make money and you'll be fine. The problem is the majority of people don't believe that. You get like 10, 20 no's in a row and you think everything's going to be a no. And so you quit. If we were able to guarantee the result, which unfortunately I can't do, I feel very confident in the ability to get the results, but I still can't guarantee it. But because of that, a lot of people are like, I don't really know if that's going to work. I don't think I can commit to something for 10 years because I don't know if it's going to work. But the truth is, if you have that fear of the Lord that we mentioned, if you have that belief in the process, in the design of our universe, then you know that if you do something that gets you a high percentage chance of winning, that means that all you have to do is follow that process over the long term. That's all you have to do. Find something that will get you. That's what casinos do. Casinos know that some people are going to win $1 million, some people are going to lose some money, but if they stay in the game long term, they're going to win 55% of the time. And if you win 55% of the time, then you're going to be extremely wealthy. Now, we put plans in place where you don't have to be like losing 45% of the time, but the idea is the same. Build a plan that you believe in and follow the plan. Do not deviate from that plan as long as you believe in the plan. Now, that requires you to make a part of your plan a safety net, where it's like, all right, I'm investing in these companies. This is the reason I chose these companies. If something changes, where it's like, look, I felt really good about it, but it's a significant drop, so I'm going to start hedging some of my losses. That's a real thing, and I'm not going to get like all wonky on you guys. But of course, you have to give yourself some sort of risk protection naturally. But I am saying that I had like a person that was like, my mom lost all her money in the 2001 after 9/11, so none of us have ever invested in the stock market ever since then. And you and I know that the stock market has increased astronomically since then. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is don't make a long-term decision over a short-term situation. If you found value in this video, I simply ask that you like and subscribe so you can continue receiving valuable insights on how to unlock generational wealth through strategic retirement planning. Until next time, continue blessings.